What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Weekly GCap, the only source you'll ever need to catch up on all the gaming news from the last week. As always, we got quite a couple stories to go through, and as always, if there's only like a particular story that interests you or just something you want to skip to, there's timestamps in the description of the video, and as well as like when you're scrubbing through the video, the chapters should show up just there on the time bar. First things first, let's go ahead and go over all the games that released in the last week. So, May 24th, we had Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 finally releasing for next gen, looks absolutely beautiful, running great, and then we also had Sunnyside. Then moving to May 23rd, we had Eternal Threads, Galactic Care, Haunty, Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door Remake, Pine Hearts, Until Then, Wizardry Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord. This is a remaster that is leaving early access. It was available before, technically, but now it's just, like an official release. As well as World of Goo 2. I've been waiting for that one for a long time. World of Goo was a classic back in the day. Then on May 22nd, we had Cards RPG, The Misty Battlefield. And then on May 21st, we had Gestalt, Steam and Cinder, Paper Trail, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, System Shock Remake for consoles, and finally X Defiant. So, now I'd love to hear from you guys. Have you guys gotten the chance to pick up or play any of these games? Next up, Farming Simulator 22 is free on Epic Games. This will be free until May 30th at 11 a.m. EST, so you might as well go redeem it because there's no better price than free. Next up, College Football 25 was announced. Now, this was honestly a shocking one because it's been about 11 years since we got the last college football game. But anyway, they put up a trailer and the description reads, "Bring glory home. Pre-order EA Sports College Football 25 today and EA Sports College Football 25 for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. Experience explosive gameplay variety across 134 FPS schools and immerse yourself in the iconic atmospheres of college football as you chase college greatness. Introducing the MVP bundle, including EA Sports College Football 25, Madden 25, and bonus rewards to help you make game day every day." So, they have a bunch of pre-order editions here, right? They got the standard edition, the deluxe edition, which includes 3-day early access, as well as an MVP bundle, which includes deluxe edition pre-orders for both College Football 25 as well as the deluxe edition of Madden NFL 25. So, this is new. Obviously we've heard of some crazy pre-orders in the past, but this is just next level of a deluxe pre-order of sorts that gets you 2 games. Furthermore, I just think this whole thing is funny. So this isn't even related to college football, but rather with the upcoming Madden NFL 25. I just think it's funny because if you know the Madden games, Madden NFL 25 actually released on the Xbox 360 and PS3 back in the day, but now it's about to be 2025, so they're gonna have to name this one the exact same thing. I thought that was funny. Next up, Kingdom Hearts is coming to Steam. They put up a trailer, and the description of the trailer reads, quote, "Attention all Keyblade wielders, the Kingdom Hearts series is coming to Steam on June 13th, 2024. Revisit the emotional and heartwarming world of Kingdom Hearts in this Steam announcement trailer featuring the newly re-recorded, quote, simple and clean from Hikaru Utada, one of Japan's most influential and best-selling musical artists. The beloved franchise was first released in 2002 by Square Enix and led by legendary director Tetsuya Nomura. Now, for the first time, Steam users can join Sora, Donald Duck, Goofy, and many other Disney and Pixar characters on adventures through the Dark Seeker saga, spanning from the original Kingdom Hearts to the critically acclaimed Kingdom Hearts 3 plus Remind DLC, delivering 10 magical experiences. Start your Kingdom Hearts journey and wishlist on Steam now." So, they're going to be releasing Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 plus 2.5 Remix, Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue, and Kingdom Hearts 3 plus Remind DLC, all 3 of those on Steam. These games were technically available on PC before, but only through Epic Games, so, needless to say, a lot of people didn't even know that these games were on PC before, but now they're coming to Steam and it'll be there within 3 weeks. So yeah, if you haven't played these games before, highly recommend them. I mean, is that nostalgia talking? Sure, because I've been playing them since, back in the day with the first one on the PS2, but genuinely, they are just amazing games. Next up, the final update for Redfall was announced. This was one of those things where the devs said they were working on it before their studio closed down and we weren't sure if it was going to come out, but thankfully it is. So this coming from Redfall on X, quote, "Thank you for all your supportive messages. We are working to release our final update, Game Update 4, that brings revamped neighborhood and nest systems, single-player pausing." I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but single-player pausing, that wasn't there before, really, but anyway. "Offline mode and more. We'll provide additional details soon. Thank you all." End quote. So Redfall is a game where, when it came out, I played through it, I beat it, and then I saw the hate online. Because I didn't realize how much hate it was getting until I looked after I already beat the game and just kind of looked through online. I was like, what the heck? Like, the game was totally fine, but the internet does what the internet does. But that being said, thankfully this update will be coming out, which means an offline mode will be available, because Lord only knows how long these servers will actually be up, past that, because, I mean, the studio's already closed down, and with, Microsoft is looking at this, and it seems like they're already doing as much in their power to kind of, like, cut costs at any means necessary, and I'm sure that would include shutting down some older games, even though for them, that's, like, pocket change, to keep those servers running, but regardless, Just wanted to bring that to your guys' attention because that was something we talked about in a previous episode. We weren't too sure if this update was going to come out, but thankfully it is. Next up, the IGN Pocket DMG was announced. Oh, I'm so excited for this one. This coming from Time Extension, quote, IGN has just formally revealed its Pocket DMG handheld for the first time. The device is part of the company's, quote, remake line of products and clearly takes inspiration from the Nintendo Game Boy. It's also a close match to the Analog Pocket in terms of visual design. The headline news is that it sports an OLED panel as well as a D-pad, analog stick, and touchpad. It's powered by the same Snapdragon G3X Gen 2 chipset found in the AYANEO Pocket S, end quote. So, I mean, you're seeing the trailer on your screen or the video on your screen. This is taking heavy inspiration from the original Game Boy, much like a lot of other products that we've seen lately, like the FPGBC, as well as the Analog Pocket, as this article mentioned, and I am so excited for this one. I will admit, seeing the thumbstick there is a little funny, kind of mess with my nostalgia, because obviously, you know, I had a Game Boy back in the day, and looking at this, it's one of those things where since it looks so similar, it's just so uncanny seeing that thumbstick there, but I mean, I guess somebody out there might use it, and you know, obviously this thing would definitely be powerful enough to emulate the more powerful consoles that would require a thumbstick. That being said, it's still just kind of funny seeing it there, but hey, maybe there's also just people that prefer to use thumbsticks over D-pads for games, you know, like on the Game Boy and such. Me personally, that feels like a sin to me, but hey, to each their own. Anyway, we don't have like an official release date or anything at this time, not that I'm seeing anyway, so as soon as we know more, I'll definitely let you guys know, because I am really excited for this one and cannot wait to get my hands on it. Next up, ShiftUp has confirmed that they are working on a new game. This coming from Video Games Chronicle, quote, ShiftUp has confirmed that it's exploring the possibility of releasing Stellar Blade for PC and developing a sequel to the game. In an initial public offering filing on the Korea Composite Stock Price Index via Gamatsu, the studio also said its next new IP, which is codenamed Project Witches, is planned to launch globally across console, PC, and mobile with crossplay. The studio is targeting a release in 2027 or later for the game, which it reportedly likened to Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, and Fate/Grand Order. In addition to considering a PC release and a sequel for Stellar Blade, the PS5 version will be expanded with DLC and new IP collaborations, end quote. So, yeah, that is another thing worth noting, that they did mention a PC port there, so this is one of those situations where the game already looks amazing and is photo mode worthy on the PS5, but I can only imagine once people get it run into like Ultra 4K, 8K, 5 million FPS, for like triple wide, ultra wide monitors, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure the game's gonna look insane once we see those screenshots, but yeah, the main thing I wanted to highlight here was that Project Witches game that they had detailed there. It being akin to something like Genshin Impact, you know, I genuinely enjoy Genshin Impact. Didn't play a whole lot of Honkai Star Rail or the other game they mentioned, but I enjoyed Genshin. I heard for the first 10 hours it kind of suckers you in, which is kind of what it did to me, but then after that, it kind of gets you with the gacha stuff. I never personally experienced that, so that is a little worrisome, but that being said, I did always enjoy the game, thought it was rather beautiful as well, so if they're doing something along the lines of that, I'm very excited to see. I'm just kind of scared because of the monetization side of things and what that could entail just with the games that they mentioned, but we'll see when they get there. Otherwise, very excited for this. Next up, Microsoft has opened a new Activision studio named Elsewhere. This coming from Pure Xbox, quote, Microsoft's newly acquired Activision team has today announced the opening of a brand new development studio in Poland. The team, which is confirmed to not be working on Call of Duty, is setting out to build a, quote, state-of-the-art and next-generation gaming experience at Elsewhere Entertainment. The studio also seems to be doubling down on narrative experiences with X Uncharted, The Last of Us, Cyberpunk 2077, The Witcher 3, and Destiny developers helping from the team. The plan is for Elsewhere to, quote, craft a franchise with an enduring legacy that resonates far beyond games. Built from the ground up, Elsewhere Entertainment is a premier and standalone studio dedicated to establishing an environment that inspires bold and diverse ideas. The team's underlying mission encourages everyone to explore and collaborate creatively to craft a franchise with an enduring legacy that resonates far beyond games. The new studio has full access to Activision's resources and tools as it continues to increase production and development. Elsewhere is opening its search for best-in-class talent from across the industry and around the world to help create a state-of-the-art and next-generation gaming experience, end quote. So yeah, everything I read at the end there was, you know, just being quoted from Microsoft directly when they were talking about the studio. But this is very exciting. You may have noticed that there is Hellblade 2 footage going on in the background, or a trailer of it, and that's simply because this is kind of like a pattern or a theme I've been seeing with a lot of Microsoft's games lately, where they're definitely pushing more in that narrative direction, kind of like Sony's been doing with like God of War, Uncharted, Spider-Man, stuff like that, just pushing more into that cinematic, narrative-driven gaming experiences, which is awesome. With something like Hellblade 2, for example, absolutely loved that game. It was such an amazing game. I already beat it. So now that they're making a studio dedicated to kind of making experiences like that, but probably on a bit of a bigger scale, because obviously, not that Hellblade 2 isn't an amazing game or like a big budget game or anything like that, it's definitely still on the smaller side of the AAA things, I would say, at least in terms of sheer scope, right? Like, it's one of those things where you dive in sort of like an Uncharted game where it's just like, you go in, you get like a 8 to 12 hour experience, you beat the game, and that's that. But with them developing this inside of Activision and with the developers that they have on board and what they've worked on before, I just feel like the scope of what they're going to be working on is going to be something much bigger. So you gotta remember, Uncharted, Last of Us, Cyberpunk, Witcher 3, Destiny devs. I feel like huge things are going to be coming out of this dev team, and I am just super excited to see what they end up making, but obviously they're just now being formed, so unfortunately it's going to be years until we see what they're working on. Next up, Nintendo acquired Shiver. Yes, Nintendo, making acquisitions. Not the first time, they've done it before, but it's always just kind of interesting seeing that in a headline. But anyway, this coming from a PDF Nintendo posted detailing the acquisition. Quote, Nintendo Co. Limited hereby announces that it has entered into an agreement with Embracer Group AB to acquire 100% of the outstanding shares of Shiver Entertainment Incorporated and to make it a wholly owned subsidiary. Oh yeah, it's worth noting, they're buying Shiver from Embracer, and you know, it's probably a good thing that they're doing this, right? Because anybody that's under Embracer, well, let's just say, to put it lightly, it's a scary situation for anybody that's still open under Embracer, just because it's very unsure as to if they're gonna remain open for very long, just with how much Embracer's been shutting people down lately. But anyway, purpose of acquisition, Shiver is a video game development company that develops software for multiple platforms, including a Nintendo Switch. Since its establishment in 2012, Shiver has partnered with publishers and developers through commissions for large-scale title developments, and recently has worked on porting and developing software titles such as Hogwarts Legacy and Mortal Kombat 1. By welcoming Shiver's experienced and accomplished development team, Nintendo aims to secure high-level resources for porting and developing software titles going forward, even after it becomes a part of the Nintendo Group. Shiver's focus will remain the same, continuing commissions that port and develop software for multiple platforms, including Nintendo Switch. The acquisition will be completed pending satisfaction of all relevant customary closing conditions, end quote. That last part just means that anything that Shiver's working on currently, whether it be projects, ports, etc., they're allowed to finish those, and then it's just gonna be like, whatever Nintendo says to do, get on it. That being said, this company has worked some magic with the Switch. Mortal Kombat 1, sure, is a little iffy at launch, but as the updates have come out, it's definitely in a bit of a better state now. On Hogwarts Legacy, I would definitely say was one of those miracle ports to the Switch. It was a very good port, and it's only gotten better with updates. So yeah, them acquiring Shiver, I'm sure that's especially going to help when it comes time for like the Nintendo Switch 2, because obviously we know the Switch 2, or the Switch successor, whatever you want to call it, is going to be a more powerful system. Just, you know, that's just a fact. That being said, it's hard to say how powerful it's going to be in comparison to the other consoles. Like, say when GTA 6 comes out next year, is it going to be powerful enough to run a game like that? And if not, you know, if they have a porting team as skilled as Shiver under them, where maybe they could work some magic, and plus, you know, there's been rumors and stuff coming out about them working with certain upscaling technologies to make games that would otherwise be not even feasible on that hardware, actually able to run rather well and sustainably. So we'll see what this, you know, results in the end, and what kind of ports end up coming out of Shiver, but I think this was a smart acquisition on Nintendo's part. Next up, PlayStation London studio is shutting down. Now, this studio, they've been around for a while. This studio was technically formed in 2002, but they've actually been around for a lot longer than that. They developed games like The Getaway. Well, okay, so technically that happened before the studio was merged and renamed to London Studio, but they also developed The Getaway Black Monday on PS2 after the aforementioned merger way back in the day. That was just one of those situations where there was like two different development teams that existed that were doing their own thing, then they kind of got like merged into one. And by the way, if you guys haven't played The Getaway games, either The Getaway or The Getaway Black Monday, I highly recommend them. Those games are absolutely amazing. But they then went on to create games mainly based around Sony's peripherals and accessories, such as like SingStar and the iToy, as well as a handful of VR titles like PlayStation VR Worlds and Blood and Truth, and then their final game was Erica on PS4. All that being said, here is their statement that they posted on X, quote, "For over 20 years, London Studio has been home to some exceptionally talented and wonderful people in the games industry. As we close the doors and all go forward to new adventures, we wanted to say a heartfelt thank you to all our past and present players and colleagues who have supported us over the years. We've had one wild and wonderful journey," end quote. So again, it's always sad when a studio closes down, but all we can do is hope and wish for the best for all of the employees and developers and just anybody that was working there. I'm sending love and prayers y'all way, and I hope you're all able to find new and sustainable work soon, and hopefully all of you will be successful in whatever endeavors you guys pursue next. Next up, IGN has made a questionable, at best, acquisition. This coming from IGN, quote, "IGN Entertainment has acquired the Gamer Network family of digital brands for an undisclosed sum. Gamer Network's publications include GamesIndustry.biz, Eurogamer, Rock Paper Shotgun, VG247, and Dicebreaker. The business also holds shares in Outside Xbox, Digital Foundry, and Hookshot, which operates Nintendo Life, Push Square, Pure Xbox, and Time Extension. chances are, if you follow gaming in any way, you most likely, no, you definitely have heard at least one of these names at some point. I don't want to drag this out for too long, so I'm just gonna say this. One news company purchasing basically almost every, like, major gaming news publication under the sun is absolutely terrible, because let's just say this. If IGN has a certain agenda they want to push, they have every major gaming news publication, at least most of them, to where they are able to push that, you know, that prerogative or their viewpoint or their opinion or their agenda or whatever multiple times over to many dedicated readers. So this is just, I don't know. I mean, part of me wants to say that it's kind of scary, because it is, but it's just, I don't know. This is questionable at best, and it's almost hard to believe that an acquisition like this is legal, but I mean, yeah, I really don't know. Let's just hope that this doesn't impact the integrity or the, I guess, what these news publications are allowed to talk about, or hopefully it doesn't impact, like, what they're allowed to publish in terms of, like, when it comes to, like, opinions, and hopefully it's not going to be one of the situations where IGN is able to push their agenda onto all of these companies and force them to publish things that they wouldn't have published otherwise, if you get what I'm trying to say. See, for somebody like me, I never read these gaming news sites anyway. I just don't really have a reason to. I read the main headlines, I dig in for the objective and factual information to report on them here, and beyond all that, I stay away from any and all reviews and I guess you could say, like, opinion pieces on these sites, but yeah, I don't know, this just rubs me the wrong way. And finally, we got a bit of a funny story here for you guys. So Atari has acquired Intellivision. Now, we'll explain why this is funny in the end, but first, this is coming from GamesIndustry.biz. Quote, Atari has picked up the Intellivision brand name and 200 games from Intellivision LLC. Details on the games were not shared, but Intellivision LLC will continue to develop the Amico games console separately with a license from Atari to distribute games on the platform. The Amico console was originally due to release in October 2020, but a lack of funds has caused a delay to the product, and as of November 2023, the firm stated it didn't have the money needed to distribute the machine. Atari says it will continue to digitally and physically distribute Intellivision titles, explore licensing opportunities, and, quote, potentially create new games, end quote. Now, if you're wondering why I said this was funny before, it's because Atari and Intellivision, they were fierce competitors back in the day, back in, like, the 70s and the 80s. Similar to, say, you know, if you're a bit older like me, you might remember, like, the Nintendo versus Sega stuff, or a little bit past that, the PlayStation versus Xbox, because obviously that's still going to this day. However, console wars were different back in the day, right? Like, nowadays it's like, hey, do you have PlayStation or Xbox? And normally it doesn't matter too much. Like, sure, there might be some light console warring going on, but they all have crossplay, they all have, like, ray tracing capabilities that are running games at, like, 4K, 120 FPS, you know what I mean? Well, in certain games. The 120 FPS thing was definitely more, like, towards the beginning of the generation. Now that's mainly just for, like, indie titles and stuff like that, but still, they're ridiculously powerful consoles. You go back 2 generations to the 360 and PS3, that was, like, the last generation where the console wars were like, alright, this is intense. By the time the PS4 and Xbox One rolled around, they were still there, but definitely a bit lighter. But the further back you go, the more intense it gets. Like, and when you go back, right, to, like, Nintendo versus Sega, you had, like, commercials all over the place, and them, like, dissing each other, you know, Sega does, but Nintendo don't, that whole thing, and then going back again to the Atari and the Intellivision in the 70s and the 80s. Things were fierce, not just between the companies, but also gamers. Like, it's just, it was a whole thing back in the day. The gamers were warring it out, the companies were warring it out. It was honestly amazing. It was beautiful. So basically, this is sort of like if Xbox would buy PlayStation or vice versa. Like, that's what we're talking about here. That's why this is so funny, but regardless, hey, hopefully that console could finally come out, because, I mean, it was due out almost 4 years ago at this point. We're still waiting on it, but between the Atari 2600 Plus that released last year, which I gotta say, that console is amazing. I absolutely love that thing. And this acquisition is just, I don't know, I love to see Atari back in the game, still doing stuff with gaming, still making big moves, and, yeah, I don't know. We'll see if this console finally comes out, and I'm excited to see what Atari does next. Again, they've been making some big moves, and I love it. Growing up, I played a lot of Atari games, so, you know, I do have a lot of nostalgia bias. I generally do just love this company, but it's awesome seeing them here in 2024 still doing big things. But anyway, that is all the stories that I got for you guys this week, so now I'd definitely love to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on everything that we talked about? Whether it's all the crazy acquisitions, PlayStation London Studio unfortunately getting shut down, or any of the new game announcements, or the AYANEO Pocket DMG, or you're gonna pick one of those up, just whatever it is, whatever you're thinking, I'd definitely love to hear from you guys. But anyway, this is Weekly GCap. New episodes go live every single Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, so if you want to catch them as soon as they go live, well then, now you know when to be here. But anyways, that's gonna do it for me, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Have an amazing day and an amazing weekend. Stay beautiful. I love you all. Peace.